But hey, real quickly before the video goes, this is a long video. So get some popcorn, get some snacks, get comfy, put the video on 2 times speed, or even just skip to the end to see the final tier list. I don't really care to be honest. But yeah. Also appreciate all the comments on the last video. The Stern Spike 2 tier list. I haven't read them all yet, but I appreciate all the comments and that was what I was looking forward to most was seeing people's takes on my tier list there. And same thing with this one. If you don't agree with what I have in S tier versus freaking D tier, let me know. I want to hear it. I love the System 11 era, and I want to hear people's opinions about these games that I really enjoy. And for anyone who does disagree with my opinions, I am the 8th annual System 11 World Champion. So yeah, you can suck my ass if you don't agree with this list. Anyway, just yanking your chain. We'll get started with the video. All right, welcome to my System 11 tier list. For those of you who might not be familiar with the phrase System 11, it just mostly refers to the board set that Williams and later on Bally would use in their games between around 1985 and 1990. So pretty much all of the Williams games, and then as the years gone on and Williams bought out Bally, the last kind of Bally games before they converted to DMD. Mostly, that's a very brief history. But basically, 1985 to 1990 pinball. One of my favorite eras, without a doubt. It's yeah, very kind of like the transition between the old kind of early solid states and that 90s kind of DMD run that they had. Kind of like this is the first era where they really started utilizing ramps that weren't just to get to upper play fields and more intense theme immersion and way better like proper sound and like music and stuff. Like the games really they became a more complete package around this time. And then by the time Williams and Bally went into the 90s, that yeah, carried this momentum of System 11 and done an absolute home run in the 90s run of games. So first System 11 that was put out is a all-time classic, high-speed pinball. Sold extremely well, was a commercial and critical success. Went on to spawn a sequel in 1992, I think. Designed by Steve Ritchie, concept by Steve Ritchie, and Steve Ritchie also wrote the main guitar riff for the theme song. So a very Steve Ritchie heavy pin. He was involved in nearly all assets of this game. This is like the first pinball machine to really like have a story kind of built into it. You're this red car here, and you're outrunning the red light, and then the cops start chasing you. You got to outrun the cops. You got to get away, and you got to cash in a fat jackpot. And I believe the first game to really have a jackpot kind of shot, and the jackpot grew between games. So like if you cashed in a jackpot like at the base value, the next game, if you cashed in it again, it'd be worth more. Which isn't a rule I'm a fan of, but was certainly interesting at the time and really like it was, this game was made for arcades, right? It wasn't made for the home setting or even a tournament setting, but it was definitely a unique and innovative feature for its time. And I believe Larry DeMar was on rules, one of my personal favorite programmers in all of pinball, without a doubt. Yeah, right away, instant S tier. There's no doubt about that. High Speed is one of my all-time favorite games. It's pretty damn close to perfect, if you ask me. It's pretty hard to find a game as influential, as revolutionary, and as fun as High Speed. It's freaking wicked when you there's a big beacon light on the top of the game, and when you run the red light and get away from the cops, that beacon goes off, and your ears are blessed with a jackpot theme tune, I imagine, written by Steve Ritchie as well. And commercial success too. It kind of piggybacked off of the success of Space Shuttle 1984, System 9. And this was massive success, sold a lot of units, and kind of brought pinball back on the map after the arcade video game crash years prior. And you might be thinking, how can Williams follow this up? High Speed was such a banger. The next game must be freaking wicked. And Williams hit the players with Grand Lizard, a a pretty old school styled game. I'd say it has a pretty similar layout and kind of rule set to games similar to like Solar Fire and kind of those like early 80s like upper playfield heavy games, kind of like Black Knight and like Pharaoh and Jungle King. However, it's all one single playfield. It's a four flipper game, but the upper half is so isolated and can only be accessed by certain shots that it's practically an upper playfield in the way the game plays. In saying that, I think this game is sick. It definitely was a step back, given High Speed coming out before that. Grand Lizard definitely was a step down in terms of innovating pinball as a whole. And the translate that you're seeing here isn't even the production translate. They I think they wanted to change the way the scores were sitting on the translate, and instead of I guess filling in the gaps, they just drew up a whole nother back glass. And the production one looks pretty bad. I won't lie. It's got a real like kind of like school, like kind of angsty school doodle kind of feel to it. Looks like something someone drew on the back of their maths book. And like it's got its own like novelty in that regard, but definitely not as cool as this one that you can see on screen. And I think the art package on the playfield is freaking sick. And the sounds, you get people quite. I've heard a lot of people talk a bit of smack about Grand Lizard as a sound package, but I think it's sick. You got some jungly sounds, you got some like monkeys and gorillas, and you got this like really like annoying and repetitive drum tune, which I find very entertaining. I've only really played this in a tournament setting, as most of these games, to be honest with you. And it's a pretty fun tournament game. I actually highly enjoy it in tournaments. And for that, and kind of the novelty of how like it's kind of like there's certain aspects of it where it's so bad it's good. And this one's sitting in B tier for me personally. I think this game rocks and is definitely overhated. Next game, I believe this is one of Mark Ritchie's first games, brother of Steve Ritchie, with Road Kings. I've definitely seen this on people's like all-time lists, like next to South Park and stuff like that. And to be fair, I haven't played the most immaculate copy personally. It's the flippers were a bit soft on the one that I played, but yeah, I don't know. This game's kind of bad. It's not very fun to play. You gotta, from what I remember, it's got some cool shots on it, like up the center. It's got a cool U-turn ramp and that like diverts, and one of them goes into an outlane that's kicked back. Like it's pretty unique in that regard, and kind of the first game to do something like that that I'm kind of aware of. But the rules, as far as like, I'm not too familiar with like the entire rule set, so maybe I'm talking a bit of unjustified smack here. But from memory, there's like four targets on the left hand side, and then there's like five on the right hand side, and you just want to like pick out all those targets to light your locks. It's similar to mouse and around, if anyone's familiar with the rule set on that game in terms of lighting locks. And on the copy I played, so maybe it's just the copy I played, but it's a real slog. I don't know. I think the artwork and theme is like so close to being cool. So close, but it's not. It's unfortunately, I think it's like a Mad Max rip-off theme, which is cool. That's a cool movie to rip off if you ask me. But falls pretty flat on its face. I'm thinking E tier right now. I know it's pretty harsh. There are definitely things I like about this game. I like the pop bumper configuration of the lanes at the top, and how the lanes at the top share progress with the in lanes too. I enjoy aspects like that, and it's got like an up-down ramp. It's cool on paper. Everything about this game is cool until you have to play it. Maybe okay, I'll definitely put it too low, but we can always go back and we can always lift it up. Maybe put it into D tier. Next release, playing pinball as a kid in the 2000s and 2010s. Pinball was referenced a lot as kind of like it's like the pinball machine of pinball. I don't know, like I would see it in movies like big and like kind of referenced as like this is like he was kind of like the pinball mascot in a sense. And so it was quite and I'm pretty sure this was quite the commercial success. It spawned a sequel and then a third game later on too. Pinball, this game rocks, man. It's freaking sick. I think the theme's cool. I think the sound package is some of the best from that time. I think the layout is freaking weird, but works in a good way. You've got the sick combo where you can hit like one bank of targets and then it goes into another bank, kind of like well, I don't know which way the video is facing. And you got like a motorized bank that reveals locks. You got to like put the eyes in the pinbot's head. I don't know. Thematically, I don't really get that bit, but this game is sick. I think the multi ball is really fun, and it's just like thematically, it's awesome. I think this game is just awesome to play. I don't think it's it's a game that could really get old too fast in terms of System 11, as far as System 11s go. But yeah, definitely A tier for me. I wouldn't put it in S tier because it just doesn't have that edge, if you get what I mean. But I think without a doubt, this game bangs and it bangs hard. Now this next game, Millionaire. And by the way, I should clarify, I'm going through all these games in terms of chronological order. So Millionaire was the fifth System 11 to release. If I had my facts correct, maybe I've got a couple switched around by accident, but I've tried my best to get these in order. I'm actually unfamiliar with the designer of Millionaire, and it's not the prettiest game. It could be a cool theme, you know, riches, money, all that. Not the prettiest game, but definitely some real interesting stuff on this game. Like I think this game doesn't get a credit it deserves in certain places. I think this game, I wouldn't say overhated because it's not the funnest game to play, but I think there's a lot of interesting design choices that I think you kind of see in later games. Kind of. I think it's pretty whack. I think from a design point of view, just like without like disregard gameplay from a design point of view, I think there's some cool shit on here. I think even just like real weird, but just like you've got this top flipper, and then it's got like a shot that goes up like kind of past that flipper. Then to the right of this, you got this like fat target. I don't know what it is. Something about the configuration of that flipper to target, I think is sick. Gameplay wise, I haven't honestly spent too much time on this game. I couldn't tell you any of the rules to save my life, but I do remember the skill shot coming out of the plunger lane. The ball kind of curves on like is redirected by this ball guide to hit the side flipper shot. But this ball guide is like on a motor or something. Not too sure. It caught me off guard when I first spotted it, and like the ball guide kind of like it's breathing. Was going up and down, so you got to time it with the guide to be in place to hit that side shot. However, this game's a bit of an eyesore. And it just like, as much as the shots are very interesting, extremely interesting design, it's not fun. And I think the theme just does not help this game. I think if there was a cooler theme, this game could be a bit higher up, you know, like some cool sounds, some cool call outs, but experimental layout with a subpar theme doesn't do it much justice. Gonna chuck it in E tier, probably the worst System 11 in my books. But hey, someone had to be the worst, and in this case, it's Millionaire, a very experimental game. Next up, Steve Ritchie's back following up the success to High Speed, he put out another banger, F14 Tomcat, just like High Speed. Freaking innovative layout, in my opinion. Awesome sound package. There's probably a theme or a story going along with it. I haven't really dived into it too much. I've only really played it in a tournament setting, so I'm more focusing on how to rack up the most points. But this game is freaking sick. If I could pick one of these up tomorrow, I absolutely would. Four flipper game, which is pretty rare for Steve Ritchie. Typically, you'll only see 2 or 3 flippers on his game. And very unconventional layout, given Steve Ritchie's big history of designing games. Typically, he likes to recycle a lot of shots, especially later on in his career, in his work for Stern. However, this game is sick, and I don't know who programmed it, but something I love about the System 11 era, and this in High Speed, and no stranger to it, is spotting shots. If you can make arguably a more difficult shot on the game, it will spot you progression towards your multi-ball. So like F14, you want to just hit a bunch of targets with the top flippers to light your multi-ball. But if you hit the right orbit, it gives you one of those targets every time, as well as feeding flippers. This game is sick as. It's freaking sick. I don't know why I'm not putting it in S tier. Like, I don't have a single complaint about it. But I'm putting it in A tier for now. I do feel a bit mean putting it next to Pinball, because F14 is way better than Pinball. We're gonna chuck it in S tier for now. It's interesting because it's not a game I typically It's not a game I'm that attached to like High Speed. You know, like I feel like I'm more personally attached to a Pinball over an F14, but I think F14 definitely deserves to be an S tier. And next up, after that banger of a game, F14, Williams puts out one of the most unique art packages, in my opinion. Fire, kind of sick theme, I guess. Like you got like house fires, you got the old timey fire brigade, you got the horses on the cobblestone roads coming down, putting out some fires and houses. This game is weird, man. I'm not too sure who was on design for this. But it's a symmetrical layout, and it's got some freaking cool stuff in it. It's got some up-down ramps that double as orbits, and the idea is that they're both on the same orbit. Like both the entrances to this orbit shot both have up-down ramps on it. So if you hit one of the ramps when it's down, it will go on this like ramp, and it will then, if I'm correct, it's been a long time since I played it. It will lift up the other ramp, and that will act as like a path for the ball to it will divert the ball to a lock. It's a freaking sick design, and you've got this cool horseshoe in the middle and some like slingshots and like some dead end ramps that come back down. It's actually a pretty sick game in that regard. I feel like I've kind of written this game off personally, but as I'm like describing the playfield, I'm realizing how kind of sick it is. And straight up a ramp that will kind of on a motor come up, and kind of like a jump ramp, and it will jump into a building shot, and say start your multi-ball. I think the rules kind of let this one down. I'm not too familiar with the actual rule progression of this game, so maybe just my lack of understanding is why I'm not too smart on the rules. But especially games of this era, I played this game a lot. We used to have one at the local arcade here in Wellington, but I still can't figure out how to light your locks on the top of my head. It's not very. The game doesn't hold your hand. It doesn't present those rules visually that well through inserts or through game design. So I'm thinking C tier for this one. I'd definitely rather play Grand Wizard than Fire. However, I have to give credit where credit is due. I think the game's pretty sick. I think the theme's freaking weird, but I kind of like it at the same time. Maybe could go down to D tier. I don't think I'd ever want to own one of these things because It's got a massive bell on top that's really, really loud and annoying. Yeah, we're putting this one in D tier. The more I think about it, like fucking, I would pay someone not to own this game. All right, next up, we got big guns. Mark Ritchie is back after Road Kings, coming back with a much better game, a symmetrical layout, similar to F14 kind of. It's got like two flippers up the middle, and you can hit the ball up there, and you got some targets to smack as well as a shot. This game, especially like when you're looking at the other games that have come out before this, is definitely one of the most distinct themes and one of the coolest themes around. Like this space medieval kind of fusion sci-fi nonsense. It's freaking sick. This the art package on this is some of the best from its time. We have one of these locally, and I played it a lot, and I played it a lot in tournaments. And this game gets old fast. I find like maybe it's just the way it's set up locally, but the multi-ball's so freaking easy to get into. And that's the whole game, is just getting into multi-ball, smacking down some targets. Now, it's not the easiest thing to smack those, get the jackpot going, but this game gets pretty boring pretty fast. One of the most repetitive games. And, like, I don't know. I like Grand Lizard, even though Grand Lizard's a pretty repetitive game, especially if you're just going up top all day. But I find there's a lot more strategy in trying to time the value of the drop targets and knocking them all down at a certain time. It's not the most, like, you don't achieve it every time. And the same with the jackpot on big guns, but I don't know. Something about this game bores me. Like, it's got sick cannons, really cool layout, awesome theme. But I don't know. I can't explain it in words why it bores me so much. And maybe with other games like Grand Lizard, I've only like played it a handful of times in tournaments and enjoyed my time with that. Whereas Big Guns, I played in a lot of tournaments and have rolled it many times, and just yeah, maybe if it was set up harder, I'd have a bit more of a fun time on it. But yeah, I don't know why, because like I don't know why I put it so low. The theme's great, the sounds are cool, the art is amazing, and the layout's sick, innovative. You've got all these cannons, which I don't think had been used in pinball before. Mark Ritchie would reuse them a lot later in his next few games. I don't know, just not feeling it. Not feeling it today. I don't know. Maybe you can ask me in like a month's time, and I'll tell you it's S tier. But today it's sitting in C tier. Next up, we have Space Station, the sequel to Space Shuttle, that System 9 game I was referring to earlier. Um, this game's weird, man. It's one of the more interesting layouts. Like I'm struggling to put it into words. I don't know how to feel about this game because I enjoy it in a tournament setting. I'm realizing that a lot of the stuff I'm saying about one game, I'll say I love it about one game, and then I'll say I hate it about the next. Just like I feel like I put Grand Lizard way too high based on how I'm judging the rest of these games. But this game's pretty one shot focused. There's a really difficult shot from the right flipper. You have to hit this left orbit, but you have to hit it. The ball has to be dead stopped on the flipper for you to make this shot. You can't hit it like on a ricochet. You really have to get control of this ball. And Space Station is unique from pretty much any other game of its time, and especially these System 11 games, in the fact that it doesn't have any inlanes. The flippers sit right like next to the slingshots, and it's a freaking cool time. Like, it's really hard to get control of that ball, and it really encourages being able to control, and like just your flipper skill, being able to control the ball with just your flippers alone, no like inlanes to rely on, no even bottom of slingshots to rely on. And for that reason, I really enjoy playing it because it's so challenging and really relies on skill to get anywhere on this game. You can't have a fluke on this game, as well as unique shots. It's quite an interesting tournament game. I'm thinking B tier for this one. I'm just like, it's definitely better than Big Guns. It is does get a bit boring. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of merit. I really respect the bottom layout, and then also how the most crucial shot relies on you to be able to control the ball in this chaotic bottom third that they've got set up. Yeah, I think Space Station is sick. This is a game like in a larger collection I would love to have on the side because of how good it is for testing your skills. Like it's a real skill tester. All right, next up we got Cyclone. I realize I've already talked for 30 minutes and I'm not even through the first row. Let's speed it up. Cyclone. This game is doo-doo. We're chucking this D tier. I think the ramps are sick. I think the theme's pretty sick. Kind of. And I actually like I enjoy the art, but like I don't know. This game can sit in detail. Let's speed things up. Bonsai Run, instant A tier. Are we kidding me? This game is sick. This is Pat Lawler finally enters the scene. If I can say one good thing, probably the best thing that came out of Road Kings was Pat Lawler, believe it or not. Unless I had my facts wrong. He what is it? When he was getting into kind of like when he pitched his pinball design to Williams, he bought a Road Kings from Williams, stripped the whole game apart, and in his basement with some other dude. Maybe it was Larry DeMar. I don't know. It was definitely not a solo project. Built a prototype version of Bonsai Run where the bottom playfield actually stayed the same from the prototype mostly, I believe, and then he had the big top playfield on it, which looks completely different to how the production game looks. A lot more one continuous kind of layout with multiple flippers, and if you lose it off one flipper, it goes like down to the bottom kind of section. Whereas the current production version of Bonsai Run is very different stages, and if you lose the ball off a flipper, you're out of there immediately. Bonsai Run's sick. I think this game is sick. Sick themes. Lawler designs, it's going to be like one of the best out there. Top playfield is sick. Really fun. I find everything about this game real fun. You've got no direct feeds to the flippers, even the ramp on the right, which is a sick ramp, doesn't like directly feed a flipper, so you got to think on your toes. A sick like a kicker behind one of the slingshots. Cool captive ball. Only issue is that the top flipper on the bottom playfield that says, God, there's a lot of flippers on this game. Operators must have hated this thing. Top flipper on that bottom playfield doesn't have anything unique to shoot. However, it does give you another element of control and really puts you on the spot to decide what to do when the ball is fed to it out of those pops, whether you let it run past it and potentially risk draining down the middle. This game's sick. This game's freaking awesome. Everything about it is great. I'm thinking even potentially going in S tier. We're going to put it in between S and A tier. I'll decide about it later. Next up, instant S tier. Keeping things fast. Swords of Fury. No doubt about it. This game is one of the most S tier worthy games I can think of. The theme, banging. Sounds, banging. The layout, banging. Everything about it. The rules getting that super jackpot on the top playfield, just everything about it. The call-outs. This game's freaking awesome, man. I'm not going to talk about it for 20-odd minutes, but Swords of Fury is a certified banger, if I say so myself. This game is just freaking awesome, man. One of the best. Couldn't tell you who designed it. Couldn't tell you who did the artwork. Bit of a mystery game to me in that regard. I feel like it's not. Oh, might be Steve Kirk. Let me quickly Google this because I'd love for me to be true. Swords of Fury. Maybe it's designed by a few people, if I remember correctly. Okay, we got 3 people credited: Doug Watson, Steve Kirk, and Tony Kramer. Well, Steve Kirk, legendary designer of the early solid state era, probably the best designer of that era, in my opinion. I don't know how much he contributed to Swords of Fury, but his name is on the credits for game design. So he must have done something good. Must have sprinkled his magic to some degree because this game Easy banger. S tier immediately. I think, given how easily I can chuck Swords of Fury in S tier, is why I'm going to put Bonsai Run in A tier. And that is no diss to Bonsai Run. I just think Swords of Fury, it's just instant banger. All right. Next up, we're Mark Ritchie game. He's back. He did Road Kings, Big Guns, and now he's finally put out a real banger. We got Taxi. He starts a streak of just like putting out banger, 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 banger. All started with Taxi. Taxi is sick. You got the Pinball to pick up. That was sick to see as a little kid playing it digitally on the Pinball arcade. You got to pick up Santa Claus, Dracula, Marilyn, Marilyn Monroe, or later on some other person when they got a letter from Maryland's business people. But Taxi is freaking awesome, amazing sounds, really fun layout, really good rules. I think the rules on this game are sick. My only critique, and this is a very small whinging critique, is that I wish there was a better way to build the jackpot that wasn't just relying on the pop bumpers in those lanes up there. I think there could be a way, could be a bit more skilled way to do it, in my opinion. I'm tempted to chuck this in S tier. We're going to go S tier for now. Originally, I had this in my head as A tier. But I don't know. Taxi's freaking awesome. Next up, we have Jokers. A really fun tournament game, in my opinion, especially with the setup right. You've got this target right in the center, real close to the flippers, and it's crucial to progressing your multi-ball and lighting jackpots. And freaking dangerous shot. That's cool. I think this game is sick. I think the artwork's sick. I think so fun to play in tournament. Yeah, not much to say. We've chucked in this one in B tier next to Grand Lizard and Space Station. Keeping things fast. Nearly 40 minutes in. Maybe I speed this one up in post. Might have to. I'm looking at how many games we have left. Earthshaker. Pat Lawler is back. Ditches the top playfield after the commercial. The commercial failure that was Bonsai Run. Pretty sure that game looks like an expensive game to make, and I don't think it sold as many units as Williams was hoping. But they kept Lawler on, and he designed Earthshaker, themed around earthquakes. This game rocks, man. This is sick. Kind of like Lawler, kind of. What am I looking for? The game's kind of. This is kind of, I reckon, the start of his run. When I was saying before that Mark Ritchie had a run of just banging games, this is like Pat Lawler's Big Guns to Mark Ritchie's. Well, yeah, this is Pat Lawler's like Big Guns, if that makes sense. It's the start of his run. It's not the perfect game, and but what I like about the Pat Lawler run of this time, his real early run, is that every game expands on each other, and I guess borrows similar shots and similar rules, but expands even deeper and further with new concepts and new ways to play. I'm thinking Earthshaker. I hate to do it. I really hate to do it. I'm thinking B tier, and I mean no diss, but I think when you compare it to his later games, it doesn't hold up as well because those later games are so excellent. I'm talking games like Addams Family and Twilight Zone kind of thing. This is kind of like you can even going from Twilight Zone back to Earthshaker, you can see all the ideas kind of starting off. It's cool. Black Knight 2000. What a gangster game. Doesn't get much better than Black Knight 2000. Probably, if not one of the coolest themes in pinball, coolest soundtracks, coolest layouts, man. You got a fat upper playfield. Like, you could eat like a whole ass pizza off of this playfield. It's so big. You got a ramp up the top. You got a motorized target bank. You got a cool loop shot. You got 3 whole ass pop bumpers up there. It's a fat game, man. And Well, I should say it's a big game and it's a big theme. The theme presents itself as this like monster of a theme. Game's laughing at you. You got these like women chanting in the back, backing up the Black Knight and all his power. It's one hell of a time. However, once you've played it 20 odd times, it's a very right flipper dominated game. There's not much incentive on doing anything on the bottom playfield at all. And it's pretty damn easy to send that ball back up to the top playfield. So you get some pretty long games on it, which at first is awesome. You think, right, I'm awesome at this game. This game's awesome. It's practically singing to me. But it gets sold pretty fast. But A tier, without a doubt, this game is freaking awesome, and yeah, it's held up so well. It's made such a lasting impression that the soundtrack alone is always referenced, I find, to this day, and to the point where Stern was even confident enough to do a whole cornerstone release of the third game in the Black Knight trilogy, as Black Knight 2000 is the follow-up. It's the 1980 banger by Steve Ritchie there. Next up, we've got Transporter. This is a whack job of a game. Freaking wild ass game. You've got this massive freaking thing in the top right, like think of like Flight 2000 and the crazy kind of ball path locking mechanism it's got taken up a freaking fifth of the playfield. It's got like a micro version of that hanging up top and like this custom plastic boulder thing. Freaking weird game. Freaking acid trip of a back glass. I think the campiness, it's the theme's so bad it's good, you know. And it feels like a crime to even say so bad it's good because the theme's cool, man. This is sick. I have not played this enough, and from a competitive point of view, it's got the jackpots that carry over game to game, and it has fucked me around in tournaments. So I'm not very happy about that. But I think the novelty of this game, the vibes. I think if I can't describe exactly why I'm rating a game, I think my cop out word is vibes. The vibes are here on Transporter. This game is gnarly. Cool layout. I think it's just fun to play. Some interesting shots. You got like through the bumpers into the top lanes, similar to a Jersey Jack's Guns N' Roses. Not that you can see that part of the playfield very well, but this game rocks. Next up, we have Police Force. I think this was originally going to be themed around like maybe the Tim Burton Batman movie, and then last minute it was stopped, and Williams went, right, we're doing Animal Cops, and I think even on the playfield there's a picture of this turtle that's a cop, and he's like, you see the back of him. You can see his like a little butthole or something. It's, so it definitely gets butthole points in that regard. I really don't know how to feel about this game. I think the theme's like, it's not like Transporter where it's so bad it's so good. It's like it's so bad that it's mildly amusing, and from my personal taste at least. The layout's interesting. You've kind of got like a drop target bank. If I can compare it to a modern game, similar to King Kong's, in that you can kind of hit it from like a flipper on the opposite side and sweep them all, which is always interesting. And this is kind of like now we're stepping into the point of System 11s where mechs really coming into play, like a ramp alone, like just a cool ramp system isn't enough to draw in players. You know, Cyclone has crazy molded ramps, massive ramps. But as we get into games like Earthshaker and Police Force, they have more kind of moving parts going on, like Earthshaker. I guess only in the prototype you had the building going up and down, then you had like the two states separating to divert the ball into the locks, as well as the shaker motor. And Police Force has this, like, if I recall correctly, like, honestly, I'm not the most familiar with this game, but it's got like this mech that like rotates and throws the ball down at you. It's weird. I'm thinking D tier. Yeah, we're going D tier. I don't know. I think the game just never really drawn me in as much as I think the backglass is pretty sick, but I don't know, the vibes aren't there. I think the playfield artwork's pretty bad. Next up, we have a banger, certified hood classic, so good that Bally did a sequel, and then Stern did a threequel. Elvira and the Party Monsters. Now, this is where we go back to the vibes. I think the artwork and the sound on this game, and just the theme and call outs, some of the best of all time, without a doubt, like comparable to the stuff that's coming out today. However, the layout and rules, the layout's pretty conventional, kind of just it's just a fan layout, nothing crazy. But the vibes are so good. The theme is so good. It makes up like it's not like the ramps are cool. I like how one of the ramps goes into like a vuck, similar like Earthshaker, something like that. You got like the skull locks. I think this game, although it might not be doing anything new in terms of layouts and such a highly experimental and innovative time in pinball, I still think just doing a today now a standard fan layout was still one of the first games to kind of figure out what a fan layout is. And I think this game absolutely banging. I the vibes, man. That's the easiest way I can cop out from explaining it. Are some of the best there are. Instant A tier. This game is sick. Um, it's got some of the in a tournament setting. If you're doing a four-player game or even a two-player game, if you're playing it in such a way that enables lock stealing, depending on the difficulty of the lock settings, in my opinion, is probably the brutalest lock stealing game that I've experienced. I think getting your lock stolen on this is brutaler than any game I've played. Getting your lock stolen. Next up, we have Bad Cats. Right away, I'm not a fan of this game, to be honest with you. I think I think there's a bit of novelty to the theme. Like the theme's so bad. It's a little bit amusing at first, but doesn't do it for me personally. I think like games like Millionaire and Road Kings are kind of just objectively bad, and so that's why they're at the bottom. But I think Bad Cats just sucks, man. This game sucks. I should spend some more time on it, but just like, God, much rather just get out my phone and play Clash Royale than have a game of Bad Cats. My God. Next up. Fortunately, mousing around does not suffer the same fate as Bad Cats. This theme is so bad that it's good. I think this theme is sick. Like you got all these 80s looking mice, you got some cats, you got this old fat guy up here in the corner chasing the mice. You got this like real sexy looking mouse at the top of the jackpot. I think the theme and artwork on this game freaking awesome. And I think this is one of the most fun tournament games there are. I know I gave Road King shit for having to just hit targets on the side to light your locks, whereas this game has the exact same rule. But I think this game is way more interesting. You got the mouse hole, which is sick. You've got the cheese locks. Like again, we're talking like more innovative, mechanical kind of appeals around this time that aren't just like crazy ramps. Still are a couple games that just rely on like a crazy ramp to draw a player in, which we'll get to next. But I think mousing around is easily A tier. I think yeah, if there was a mousing around for sale tomorrow and I had the means to, I would instantly pick it up. Next up, probably my favorite game of all time, Pale Design, following Earthshaker, another natural disaster themed game. Kind of the Earthshaker and Whirlwind are kind of like sister pins, and they share a lot of similarities in layout and rule design as well. However, Whirlwind, as I was saying before, takes Earthshaker's kind of multiple design and expands on it. They add like you got the seller awards. There's a lot more happening in Whirlwind, and the layout's a bit more diverse. A few more shots that you got to make. You can't just rinse and repeat a couple shots. Whirlwind instant S tier without a doubt. The It's weird. I think like Swords of Fury, even F14 and Mousing Around are all cooler themes. Whirlwind. Whirlwind's a freaking weird game. Like when you've got the topper blowing wind at you, you got the circles on the playfield spinning the ball out of control. But Whirlwind is a masterclass in terms of like game design and rule design coming together. You know, like it's one thing to have a crazy layout. It's one thing to design a layout to a game, and then after you've finished designing the layout, you tell the programmer to write some rules for it. That's how I feel like a lot of games feel nowadays. I feel like you get games like Dungeons and Dragons, and like, you know, the guy knows he's going to design a Dungeons and Dragon themed game. So he goes, right, we're going to have a dragon, we're going to have a gelatinous cube, and we're going to have a space for the dungeon crawl scoop. And then he sends it off to freaking the programmer and goes, right, can you come up with a fat ass rule set for this standard layout? You know, this layout that I've done. Whereas Whirlwind, a lot of the concept was done by Pat Lawler and program Larry DeMar, same programmer as High Speed, I believe. Could be mistaken, but you can tell they really worked together in creating this game. Like, there's just a lot. Everything, all the rules apply so well to the layout. It really, it's just something you don't see very often. And when it's done right, it really makes or breaks a game. Like, even to reference a super recent game, Portal by P3. I think it's not. I'm not telling you that Portal would be S tier on this list, but I think you can tell the rules of the game and the concepts behind the rules. You know, not necessarily like, oh, we're gonna have a mode where you want to shoot these few shots, like, but just the core kind of rules of the game and how they interact with the ball and how they interact with the shots are established while designing the game, and the game is designed around those rules. Make for some of the best experiences in pinball, and I think High Speed's the same. Like they really had those rules in their heads, and they had the story they wanted to tell, and they had this multi-ball progression that they wanted to show off and places to store the balls to hide, and then they designed a game around that. They didn't just design a game and then went, oh, cool. Well, I guess we'll chuck in 6 modes and 2 multi-balls. Whirlwind's a masterclass and doesn't get old. There's a lot to do, and once you pass the first multi-ball, the game ups the difficulty. The next multi-ball's harder to get. You've got to hit more shots. You've got to hit different shots you weren't even hitting before. And then third multi-ball, even harder. You've got to hit everything on the board. It's cool. Doesn't mean it doesn't have critiques in terms of the rules. I think the big thing that I would change is that the quick multi-balls should have a different way of scoring. If you're familiar with Whirlwind, the quick multi-ball, you want to hit that side ramp for unlimited millions. And then the main multi-ball, you want to hit that exact same shot, the side ramp, for like exponential millions. So when you're playing the quick multi-ball, your objective is to achieve the same shot as the main multi-ball, but you're getting awarded less points. And you could argue, you know, you had to do less work to achieve that quick multi-ball, so you're not going to get as many points. But I think it would really diversify the gameplay if it had a different way of scoring, and especially when it comes to stacking the quick multi-ball and the main multi-ball together. I think that's one of the things that's really a cherry on top when it comes to Whirlwind, is being able to stack. You can practically stack a lot in this game, and it's not easy to do, and you really have to think it out and do it. But like, it's really like, it's kind of the blueprint for modern pinball. I think Whirlwind is like, it's probably the most modern game of its time. Just like High Speed was 5 or so years earlier, Whirlwind, I feel like, can still be seen in games nowadays. And to really hype up the influence that Whirlwind had, Whirlwind is like, and this goes back into what I was saying earlier about all the Lawler games expanding on each other. Whirlwind, I would argue, is just prototype Addams Family. If you like Addams Family, which I'm sure you do, you're going to love Whirlwind. It's literally just Whirlwind, but made 2 years earlier. I mean, it's just Addams Family, but 2 years prior, on prior technology. One of the best out there. Definitely the best System 11, without a doubt. It's freaking awesome. Next up, we don't have the best System 11, but we have the best teeth in the game. Bally Game Show. Man, this picture is blurry. I really don't know how to feel about this game. I think there's some interesting shots. It's a very interesting play field in terms of how like the ball maneuvers between the orbits and stuff like that. And there's this fat ramp in the middle, this fat tight ramp. And there's yeah, I don't know. It's a wild theme. I'm pretty conflicted on this game. I don't have any final thoughts. Like because the theme I enjoy the artwork. I couldn't really tell you about the sounds, but I find the gameplay, especially like like we just had Whirlwind, and this game feels like it should have come out a few years before that. It feels kind of dated and kind of behind at this point in time. I think game show. I think there's still a lot I enjoy about it. Like I think there's a lot of novelty. As if, yeah, okay, that's probably the best way to put it. It's a very novelty game. Definitely, if you have like even like a 10 or less collection, and a 10 pinball machine collection is massive. I'm really not underestimating that. But if one of your 10 games is game show, I think even in a collection of that size, you're gonna get sick of it pretty fast because it's a very novelty game. But I'll chuck it in C tier because I think the novelty of it, I really do enjoy. I just glad I don't have regular access to it, I guess. Next up, we have a banger. If not one of the last games that I can think of that didn't have a multi-ball in it. This is a single ball game, Bally Pool Sharks. This game is sick. I really like this game. It's not one you see referenced often, and I'm not too sure there's many out there. I don't think it was a commercial hit. I don't think it was close. However, the theme of these sharks, humanoid sharks playing pool with these like compared to the sharks, hyper realistic looking women. I think it's gangster. I think this game is sick. I think the layout is fun, and how the rules are integrated with the layout. You can tell they had the rules thought out before the layout. And this is probably one of the last pool-themed pinball machines. Maybe I should do a tier list of all the pool-themed games. In fact, there's probably even more games of that theme than there are System 11s out there. But Pool Sharks rocks. I think there's a lot of strategy to be played, a lot of different ways to play this game. You can go for millions, you can go for the hurry ups on it. There's like mysteries you can go for. Skill shot is great. The theme is fun. I think the gameplay is so addicting on this game that although the theme isn't isn't anywhere close to being great, and the package of the theme and the sound and the music isn't as close to being as great as like Elvira or Black Knight, Pinball, the gameplay I feel like is pretty damn good on this game. I think, and especially from a competition point of view, I think this game is probably one of the best comp games from the System 11 era. I think this game is sick, and if you have the chance to play one, play it. See how high of a score you can rack up. Like really, like play for score. You know, you're not playing pool sharks because you want to be immersed in the theme of playing pool with sharks. You're playing because you want to have a bit of strategy and you want to see how high you can score, and you want to decide, do I go for this strategy that's a bit riskier and involves a lot more shots but is higher paying out, or do I just want to spam away at this other strategy? I think Pool Sharks, from a gameplay point of view and strategy kind of scoring point of view, reminds me a lot of Fishtails. Ironically, two kind of sea creature themed games. I think similar to Fishtails because of that scoring strategy and the gameplay associated with it, and all strategies being semi-even, or at least from my experience. I don't know. I don't play Pool Sharks every every month, but I think Pool Sharks is definitely probably one of the best System 11s when it comes to tournaments and scoring and gameplay. Next up, we have roller games. I haven't spent the most time on this thing, but when I last did play it, I feel like I got the gist of it and figured out how to get some high scores on it and how to like optimize things. This is like roller games is like a poor man's high speed. That's how I see it. Like this could have easily been if you if if Williams wasn't in this contract with whoever was doing the TV contracting, they could have easily made this like a high speed 2, and then the actual high speed 2 could have been high speed 3. I think roller games is sick. I think the theme's real fun and campy. I think the gameplay is very replayable. And it's kind of, I feel like High Speed and Whirlwind and roller games, all are kind of similar games. Like they really rely on you using this top flipper to progress through the multi-ball, and if you can't make that top flipper shot, you're not getting high scores, kind of thing. And similar to Earthshaker, Earthshaker really has that kind of gameplay aspect too. I think the theme. I know a lot of people love the theme. You know, like not necessarily nostalgic for that '80s era, but enjoy the campiness and the yeah, just the campiness of the theme. Like this, what is it like? Competitive roller skating or something? I don't know. It's never. I've never paid that close attention to it. I think the sounds are cool. I think the music's very fun, and I think the game's pretty fun. I don't know why I've got it ranked so lowly when I was praising Pool Sharks for its gameplay for, because I think there's actually a lot of depth to this gameplay, especially when you compare it to games like a Game Show or even Earthshaker and Jokers. I feel like out of all these games I have in B tier, there's actually a lot more depth to the gameplay in roller games you've got. It's really just like a high speed sequel. I'm going to chuck it in A tier. Really, as I'm analyzing this game now, and not just going off of vibes. I really could appreciate like hitting the orbits. You know, I guess the Steve Ritchie flow of smacking an orbit and smacking that side ramp, and you get points for comboing that shot. You get points for if you hit the in lane and you got your orbits lit at the time. Yeah, actually, I think this game's great. I'm really thinking about this now, and like you've got this magnet shot, and like one of the things I really have appreciated about it is that you want to save it. It's such a sucker shot because it gives you a free shot to that side ramp, and it's a very easy shot to make. But if you can save it for when you've got a locklet or something like that, then it pays off. So it really pays to think about the shots you're making and being precise. And yeah, just thinking about the rules alone on this game, I think this game is actually sick as, and is a really great System 11. I think I can't believe I was about to put it in B tier in hindsight. And again, it was kind of that time where ramps weren't necessarily like the biggest. They were trying to include more mechanical mechanisms to draw on the players. You know, this like weird ball lock above the bottom side of the playfield on the right. Finally, back to Mark Ritchie with his follow-up to Taxi. We have Diner. Not as good as Taxi, but oh, I don't know. I think Diner, just straight away, I realize I've already talked for an hour. Jesus. Diner's an A tier game, without a doubt. This game rocks. I really enjoy playing this game. I think it's got competitive values in terms of like it's good in tournaments because you can like it's just kind of it's very exploitable. And that could sound like a bad thing, right? Like, oh, this game's got so many exploits. But from a tournament point of view, when you know the exploits, this sounds really bad, but walking up in a tournament and you know the exploits to this game, and I'm talking about like after you've completed a multi-ball, like avoiding certain shots to make the multi-ball a lot faster to restart. You can shoot like one of the shots on the right, and it gives you the credit for a whole nother shot, like a really hard shot on the game. There's a lot of exploits, and it's like one of those games where it really kind of pays off to have like It's a bit like the magnet shot that I was describing on roller games. You know, like it really rewards you for thinking about what shots you're gonna make in regards to, you know, you want to save that magnet shot for later, and then like steering the cup, you got this big ass cup, and again, like they were trying to create more toys. That's what they're called nowadays, more kind of mechanical gimmicks to draw players in that weren't just like a big ramp in the middle of the game like Cyclone. And It really rewards you for paying attention. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It rewards you for paying attention. Like, oh, how do I light my locks? I need to spell this and I shoot these ramps. But if I don't do this, and then someone taps you on the shoulder and goes, "Hey, buddy, don't stir the cup. You'll reset your letters." You go, ah, it's just cool. And like shooting the shot, and you notice it rewards another shot. I think this game's great. It's not the most. The rules aren't obvious. I will say that. I know I was critiquing Millionaire or Road Kings or something for the rules not being obvious. Same with Mousing Around. Rules aren't obvious on that. But I think just the different ways to approach this game and the rewards of it, I think, are so fun. It really rewards you for being a good player. That makes sense, like, especially if you can get that multi-ball going and you're looping some ramps. That feels amazing, no doubt about it. It's so hard to get those ramps lit. Like the multi-balls are very short-lived, and you've got to hit hard shots on a timer. But the payouts are so big, it really makes it worth it. I think Dyna's going S tier. I think Dyna's great. Just like from a gameplay point of view, it is awesome. Next up, we have Radical. I'm pretty sure this is quite a rare game. I don't think they made many units of it. And I think Bally had a contract with, I don't know who it was, some skateboarding company to create a skateboarding themed pin every decade or so. And so we had Skateball in the early 80s, I believe, and then Radical in the early 90s. And if that contract had have continued, I think the rumor was there'd be a Tony Hawk skater game made in the 2000s by Bally if they were still around. Radical is sick. This is such an influential game from a design point of view. I think like you can obviously compare it directly to like Iron Maiden and Twilight Zone in terms of the 4 flipper configuration they have going. But I think like just nearly everything about this game is one of the best layouts of all time. My one gripe with Radical is that, at least from what I remember, there is no direct way to feed that top left flipper, and you're relying on a random feed from those pop bumpers to make a super hard shot from that flipper. But I think the bottom third in lanes are really cool. They're not the most stereotypical in lanes. Like one of them's a lot fatter, one of them's a lot thinner. Like if you're going down the right hand side, it's practically just an outlane. There's no in lane there. But there's a one-way gate which makes shatzing really accessible and can be a great way to score early point or easy points early on in the game. I think the way you get balls locked on the left, and if you hit that shot, it fires the ball to like smack it all out of control. It's simply one of the best kind of shot map designs that I can think of. And like how you've got like the 2 drop target banks kind of in front of like one kind of in the top, and then the next shot's one up the back, and you got through the pop bumper shot, and you've got this looping ramp, and you've got these swirly cups. This game, the more I describe it, the more I'm considering putting it in S tier. I do have a few gripes. I'm going to put it in A tier for now. And like also it's like a skateboarding themed game, and it has all these ramps and like cups and stuff, very similar to like a skate park, and the flow you feel skateboarding, right? It's perfect. But I don't like how when you start your multi-ball, it does this big song and dance about what's your jackpot going to be worth? What's it going to be worth? Or maybe it's as you score a jackpot, I'm not sure. And it can be worth anywhere from 2 million to 10 million points. So in a tournament setting, if you're doing all this hard work, you finally get a jackpot, because jackpots on these System 11 games are not easy. You really have to work for them. And then you get hit with a 2 million jackpot, and then player 2 goes up, and then they also put in the work, and then they get like a 7 million jackpot. It's pretty unfair. But I'm thinking S tier. Nah. Yeah, we'll go S tier. I practiced this tier list real quickly. I quickly put everything in where I thought it would go before this video, and I think I only had 3 games in the S tier. I wasn't expecting to put this many in. I had High Speed, Swords of Fury, and Whirlwind. I wasn't expecting to put an F14, Tomcat, Taxi, Dino, or Radical, but just upon talking about these games out loud has really made me appreciate so much more than I did at just a glance. Next up, we have Dr. Dude. This game's going in A tier, without a doubt. Is it a perfect game? Absolutely not. But the theme, the call outs, and the music, some of the best, in my opinion. I think this is one of the most entertaining games to play. And quite a fun tournament game, too. Although the rules are not obvious, it's quite a slog to get to that multi-ball. And jackpot's kind of randomly awarded. You kind of got to hope that you get enough spins in that Spin Master. But this game is sick. I'm not going to talk about it for too much longer, but Dr. Dude is a certified banger. Without a doubt, this game's awesome, but it's definitely no S tier game. Next up, we have a game I really couldn't care for, Riverboat Gambler. I don't know, man. What do you want me to say about this? I haven't played it much. This thing's boring as hell. Are you kidding me? The layout's kind of interesting. Got a lot of drop targets and a few kind of interesting ramps with diverters, but I don't know, man. After talking about Radical and Diner and Whirlwind, and then I'm presented with Riverboat Gambler. Like, are you kidding me, bro? It's chucking that in E tier, bro. Next up, the final System 11 game, the finale to one of the best eras in all of pinball, one of the most innovative, fun, and theme emerged, just developing eras in all of pinball. There will never be an era like this. This is one of the best eras. We'll cap it off with Bugs Bunny's Birthday Ball, featuring carrot flippers. I haven't really dived into carrot flippers. They're on a few games. I think Dr. Dude and Game Show have carrot flippers, maybe Transporter as well. They're on Bally games. They're like maybe an eighth of an inch longer than normal flippers, and they have this kind of. They're called carrot flippers because they kind of look like a carrot. They look more like a carrot on Bugs Bunny because they're orange, and they kind of have this striped kind of design to them. Bugs Bunny, I would compare this to the recent X-Men. This is like the X-Men. It's not the best comparison, I'll admit, but this is like the uncanny X-Men of System 11s. It's got some freaking unique stuff in there. Probably one of the most. I say that the System 11 era developed so many staples of modern pinball that you could argue that things like roller games and Whirlwind are all unique, unique and innovative for their time, because there was just literally nothing else like it. Like, they were all breaking boundaries. But because they established such a modern standard for pinball, when you see games like Bugs Bunny, you think it's a bit more again, it is a unique game, a bit more innovative, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a joke gone a joke gone too far. What if we had a playfield facing the other direction? It's all cool on paper. It's all funny having a chat to some bloke, and he's like, "I've got this playfield going the other way, and there's no outlane on the right. There's two inlanes there." It's all cool stuff. All I'm here for. I love unconventional stuff in that regard. Just has to be done well. And Bugs Bunny's Birthday Ball is not a fun game to play. Cool stuff in it, cool ramps, but there's like two main shots to those bottom two flippers, and it's just nothing to do. Cool theme. I think the cabinet artwork on this looks sick. I think one of the most underrated cabinets in terms of the artwork. But this game, I'll tell you what, I think Bugs Bunny goes in D tier. I think it's a hell of a lot cooler than those games in D tier. Probably the coolest game out of the other games in D tier. But I would much rather play those C tier games than Bugs Bunny. And after putting a lot more games in S tier than I originally thought, I'm now looking at the A tier, and I think that A tier is a pretty solid group. I don't think Pinball is S tier. Neither, unfortunately, Bonsai Run, definitely not Black Knight. Elvira's not S tier. Mousing Around's not. Yeah, they're all A tier games, and that that means they're bangers, don't get me wrong. And the B tier games are great too. The C tier games are cool. D tier games kind of doo-doo. And the E tier games suck. But hey, that's just my thoughts. Yeah, for those of you who skipped to the end of the video just to see the final tier list, all right, I don't blame you. I probably wouldn't want to sit around and watch some dude talk about a System 11 game for an hour. Or I say that I would absolutely want to sit around and watch some dude talk about System 11 games for an hour. But yeah, this is the list. Let me know in the comments what you would change. You know, are you looking at Diner and going, hell no, Diner's a freaking D tier game, bro. Are you kidding me? Or you see Black Knight 2000 and you're like, mate, it's the best game of all time. What's it only doing in A tier? I haven't read all the comments on the recent tier list I did, the Spike 2 one, but I appreciate all the comments nonetheless. And I was very they were what I was looking forward to most, because I know some of those takes weren't necessarily the most public takes. But I don't know. I also think I read a comment of someone saying it's an absolute basic tier list. And I was like, yeah, well, you know what? Maybe it's basic for a reason. But I have a feeling that with the overall likeness, the overall positive reception about the System 11 games, or at least in the bubbles that I've been in, I have a feeling this could be a pretty basic looking tier list, especially the bottom. I think maybe not Bad Cats. I know there's a lot of people that like Bad Cats, but I think these three at the bottom, Road King's Millionaire and Riverboat Gambler, I think I could definitely see those being on most people's E tier lists. But hey, thank you for watching. I've got a lot more tier lists in the in the works, including I need to write it down real quickly, but that pool themed pinball tier list. I think that's sick. Well, God, I have to go through the pinball archives and find all the pool themed games. There we go. All right. Thank you to all that have watched this far. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel. I've got heaps of content coming out. We've got tier lists. I also like to design a lot of games. A lot of them are a lot more experimental than others. Those also come out on the channel. And just if you enjoy some dude on the internet talking shit about pinball, drop a subscribe and drop a like. But most importantly, leave a comment and tell me why I'm wrong. I want to hear it. All right. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next video.